meeting control are on my other screen. I'm in my office right now, so I have dual screens in my office, which is a magical thing, but it
Yeah.
also like, where is everything? Everything is in weird places because I'm used to working from home now. Okay. All right, everybody. Well, welcome to our LRNR 30 class for, let's see, November 18th. And this is week 14, which means that our annotated bibliography is due on Sunday. Yay! So, hold on once. I want to talk to my, I do have some stuff, but I'll be, okay, great. Thank you. So our annotated bibliography is due on Sunday. And what we're going to do today is spend exclusively just working on that. I'm going to demonstrate how I want it to look. I'm going to move step by step. I just got some feedback about wanting to know a little bit more about our assignment for this weekend, our discussion post. So I'm going to look at that first, and then we're going to move into our into the annotated bibliography. So first off, let me get, so I'm looking at what you're looking at. I'm in my student view. I'm going to scroll down to week 14. So what I've done, and I think I sent out a couple of announcements, I have consolidated all of our annotated bibliography information into a tab in class tools. So I'll show you how to get to that in a second, because we're going to do all of our annotated bibliography work using that tab. But I encourage you to watch this video. It's short. It goes over how to find that and more step by step. Shorter than what we're going to do for lecture today, but more concise. So if you want to follow this video step by step, I encourage you to do that. So this week we keep it brief. I do talk a little bit about, I do introduce ePortfolio. I'm not going to have time for that today's lecture though, because that's what we'll be doing all week. But I did want to give you an opportunity. All right, I'll go back. I did want to give you an opportunity to at least look through some of the ePortfolio resources. And these are, this quick video goes over the ePortfolio resources, and start deciding, thinking about which platform you want to use. It's your choice. You can use Weebly, you could use Wix, or Google Sites. I did Google Sites and I did a Wix, and so far I'm preferring Wix. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, back it up. I like Wix a lot, but I'm preferring Google Sites. It allows for a little bit greater flexibility in editing images. So go through that, look around a little bit, familiarize yourself, and then next week we'll be doing all about visual literacy, and it'll be fun. We'll just kind of cruise in for our last 4 weeks together. So this week's lecture, I talk about revising and editing. Okay, so the differences between the two. So revising is when you change the text. So this is what you're doing when you're doing your research or your thesis statement. You are adding sentences to expand, or removing sentences. You're moving or subtracting misplaced words, or reorganizing your thoughts, or you're substituting sentences. I like this little ARMS acronym. It's a nice criteria to keep in mind for approaching editing your work, or revising your work, I should say. So editing, now this is more the surface level fix-ups, and this is how we approach capitalization, grammar, usage, sentence fragments. Make sure that you're using the proper tense. For your annotated bibliography, I won't be paying too close, I won't be deducting too many points for for your tense or super proper grammar, but I do expect full sentences, and I do expect you to complete your thought. So punctuation is important, and this really speaks to your MLA, the MLA formatting style. So also spelling. So please keep these in mind when you're finishing out, and allow yourself enough time. Okay, don't wait until 11:30 on Sunday night to do your editing, to do your spell check. That really, it's rushed. It makes you feel super anxious. Do your editing, one by one, a little bit at a time. Finally, we talk a little bit more about editing and presenting. So this leads us into sharing our ideas and being part of that conversation, that scholarly conversation, which is essentially what we'll be doing with the e-portfolio. So this is really sort of the period mark on our whole LRNR. As we've created our, looked at research and identified ourselves in the scholarly conversation, and wrapped around with, looking at what we do and don't know, identifying our knowledge gaps, finding and exploring topical research, and then identifying sources to help create a research question. Now we're finding our ways to present our findings, and that can often encompass publishing, but it also can mean social media. It can be an oral presentation, like what we did with our database tutorials, or even our discussion posts that we're talking about this week. It can be a conference or a PowerPoint presentation, anything where you're using aids to communicate your findings. So maybe an important statistic, those all need to be communicated. And those are those essential parts to presenting our information. So now for our discussion, now this is a low stakes, and I tried to keep it a very broad prompt. And I'm thinking about times when you might have given a class presentation, or even in this class when you gave your tutorial, database tutorial, or perhaps you had to give a speech in your communications class or your history class in high school or beyond. Reflect on those public speaking skills and think about how those affect your audience. So when you're telling a story, or when you're presenting, you always want to think about your audience. If you're, say, demonstrating or giving a demonstration to little kids, you're going to use a much different tone of voice. You're going to maybe use a higher pitch voice and characterize, and maybe you use more expression when you talk to little kids, right? But maybe in a more formal setting where you're in an interview, okay, that would also be a good idea for presenting. You're very formal. Maybe your shoulders are more square and you're sitting back and you're looking straight ahead. Maybe your palms are in your lap and you're thinking really hard. Your voice is much lower and modulated and monotone. Okay, so watch this TED Talk by David Phillips. It's pretty entertaining. I thought it gave a lot of really good insights, because public speaking, for whatever reason, is like, it is the fire, right? It's like the walking across the hot coals for every college student experience. But let me encourage you now, get comfortable with it. Put yourself out there, and there's no such thing as failure. The worst thing that's going to happen is you get flustered and stumble a little bit, but so will everybody else. And this is really the opportunity for you to try things out. Try modulating your voice, try higher voice, try lower voice. These are important skills, and I like that the presenter mentions that too, that these are skills. Nobody has this innate ability to go up and present. It's all experience. It's all about practicing again and again and trying things out. So that is the idea behind this. Now, one of your classmates asked about using a YouTube, and you may, if you would like to record your 1 to 3 minute video discussing how you presented or a topic, how you engaged your listener and your audience, or your story that you tell. Make sure that you upload the URL. I'll open it up. I'll have to look behind the scenes, but I think I am allowing for both Canvas Studio recording of yourself, and I'm also allowing for a URL. So I'll go back and make sure that that's included. Also, you don't have to do public setting. You can actually do unlisted. So when I had to ask and find out a little bit more about the Canvas Studio app, and I discovered that when you do unlisted, it still shows, but it doesn't necessarily show public. So either one is up to you, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and leave, well, wait, I'll go ahead and let's go to our annotated bibliography. So class tools is this tab in modules, and it has some of our shared documents. Now, here's the ePortfolio resources, and this is where I'll generally be banking all of the resources that we'll use for building the ePortfolio. This will grow, especially as we add some of the internet apps that are used, including our images, like building, using Canva to create maybe a banner, or using Unsplash to find free images, those kind of things. So those will be added here. So get used to using those class tools. And that way also, you guys, you don't have to scroll, looking through all the modules for the information. Here is our annotated bibliography. So let's get down and let's start talking about our assignment. All right. So if you haven't already and you have printing capability, make sure you print this off. All right. So this is the annotated bibliography progression. It's listed here under resources. And here it is, the annotated bibliography progression. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And this is a shared Google Doc. So all these links are active. And what I've done is I've linked in, these are examples. They provide step-by-step examples. If you haven't already, I would recommend printing these off as well and having them on hand. That way you can access and print. Now, I know a lot of you don't have the MLA handbook. Now that's okay, because a lot of this is online. So right here is the MLA website. And I'm going to go ahead and open this up. So what I'm doing is I'm creating I'm creating some lateral tabs for myself. So I can quickly tab between these resources that are going to help me when I'm actually writing my annotated bibliography. Now, if you haven't been keeping a record of maybe some of the resources that you kept, it's not too late, and really, as you're moving through some of these videos for locating information types like magazines and periodicals, newspapers, other information types, you'll want those to, you'll want this working document open as you move through. So what I did to create a working document is I have one in Google Docs, but I'm going to recommend using my, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and open up my portal. And then I'm going to go to my Microsoft 365 apps and then open up a Word doc. I have a working document right here that I've been collecting my my citations. Okay, so as working with you guys, I've created some examples for myself that I'm going to use to use for my annotated bibliography. Okay, so this is just a working document. There's not a lot here. Here's my book. Okay, so this is a book that I want to use. Here's my newspaper article. It's not properly formatted. I think I'm going to do a government website because I need one, and I think that that's a good demonstration to do today too. Here are my journal articles, and also another journal article. Now remember, one of these needs to be peer reviewed. I maybe should have done myself a favor and have written peer reviewed next to the one that was peer reviewed. So I'm going to do that now. And I did make some notes beneath my articles. Some of those down here too, like here are my magazine articles about big oil, shifting gears, okay? And here I wrote down some notes as well. So before I start doing my annotation, which will require a deeper read of the articles, all that I've done is just record some of these possible articles as I've worked with you guys. So also the research statement. So this is an important one. Now, the research statement was a separate assignment from week 12, and this can change, but I need this stated right at the top. So I actually had a couple of different working research statements. Here's one that's more related to this class, and I'll probably use this one. But I also developed one for disenfranchisement and incarcerated or newly released prisoners and the right to vote. And my other research statement is climate change due to automobile emissions. So I will need to place this statement right up at the top of my annotated bibliography. So let's start working up that document now. So I'm going to go back to my Microsoft Office 365 over on the left-hand side. I'm going to open up a Word document here. I'm going to go ahead and do a blank document. Okay. So I'm starting right where you are. And also, you are welcome to use some of your old sources. Now, I think somewhere I said that you couldn't, but I'm gonna allow you to use whatever resources you want. You just need to identify what they are, and then you need to provide the summary and annotations. So as you've worked up your topic through these last, 14 weeks, you're allowed to use whatever articles that you've brought in for previous assignments, topical research, or perhaps anything that you and I worked on together. You're welcome to use that, all right? So the point of this exercise, the point of this assignment is that you're doing a deeper read of the literature and providing that summary. Okay, also I wanted to point this out to you. This is, I'll link these, I'll link this, these slides back in, but this is what we're doing. We're providing a summary, an evaluation, and a reflection about the work. I'm gonna go ahead and actually plug this into my working document just to have something, just to refer to it. I think I have this open here. Okay, I'm gonna close this one. So my working document can be as messy and unformatted as I want. When it comes to my formal document, this is where I have to start thinking about exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and type my name. I'm going to type LRNR 30. Mr. Bullock, I think I need to switch those. I'll have to double check. Section number 62700. And then the date. And that is the day, month, year. So it's the 18th November 2020. Okay. Next thing I need to do is a title. Annotated bibliography. I'm going to do my prison prisoner voting. Sorry, guys. Disenfranchisement. Okay, great. And now I'm ready to start my first annotation. So, oh, excuse me. I'm going to do my research statement. Okay, so I'm going to come over to my working document here. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up my very messy research statement and go ahead and plug that in here. Okay. So a lot of things need to get worked out here. I need to make sure that I'm starting this off. I think I'm going to get rid of this extra space right there. And then I'm also seeing some formatting things that I'm going to take care of right away. So one of the tricks that I like to do is I do Control A. And it helps that you have some text already started typing into the paper before you do this. Okay, so every Google Docs, Word document are all a little different. So let me figure out exactly what I want to do here. So I want to, can I do it here? No. I want to do spacing. Let's make this spacing after. Okay, I want this to be 0, and I want this to be 0, and then I want this to be, I'll have to look. I'm going to come up to help right here, and I'm going to say how to double space. I'm going to say line spacing the next time you create is that it defaults to 1.15. Change line spacing. Control A, home, and then line spacing, which I wish they'd tell you. Select the line spacing options and then and then the paragraph dialog. Oh, okay, well, an even easier way is that I right-clicked. So I'll have to look and see how to find it up in the ribbon right here. But if you right-click, here's what I was looking for, this paragraph box. So I got rid of that. Now, oftentimes it has like 8-point or 12-point or for some strange reason. Here is multiple. I want double. I want these to be 0. I want this to be 0. This is also how I do my hanging indent, but we're not there yet. So none. Okay. And then it's applied. And then I'm going to come to 12. This always needs to be 12-point, and this one needs to be Times New Roman. Okay, great. Also, I'm going to go ahead and center this because it's easy to do. And then I'm also going to come up into my header by clicking on my lines right here. And then I'm going to come in here. And I'm going to come to page numbers. So I went to insert page numbers, page 1. And then I'm going to type in my last name. All right, I'll just see how that plays out. I feel like it should be showing. And same across entire document. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep moving. So here I've got my research statement. Incarcerated people, newly released prisoners, or felons should have the right to vote reinstated because they are American citizens. So I'm going to clean up my research statement here. And you guys, if you have not already, because they are American citizens, have their voices heard and are disenfranchised from the democratic process by not recognizing their right to vote. Okay, so that's still a little bit messy, but if you have not contacted me yet about your research statement, or maybe you didn't submit it and didn't get any feedback on it during grading, you really should do this because this is hard. Crafting a research statement is not an easy thing, and it will often change over time. So we really talked about using that claim. All right, so your claim is your statement. So global warming is due to global warming due to aerosols in our stratosphere is leading to graver UV exposure. Shakespeare's greatest comedy is As You Like It. Prisoners are disenfranchised by not getting their rights to vote reinstated as soon as they're released from prison. Okay, then after we make our claim, then we connect it with a reason, so a because. And this is how we say it's your lead up. So you're saying, so your claim is prison parolees or felonies should automatically have their right to vote restored, is my claim. And then because disenfranchisement affects their ability to participate in a democracy and shape their futures. Okay, so I revised my research statement just right there, again, by looking and applying this claim and because reason, right? So when we're writing an academic work or an essay, it's not enough for us just to claim something. We need to say the because. And then we follow up our because with evidence. So our because is, all right, disenfranchisement and their right to vote. Well, here's some evidence about who supports prisoners being allowed to vote and how it differs. How does that affect the relation to the voting rights or the idea of disenfranchisement? Looking at these pieces of evidence is how I support my reason, and my reason supports my claim. Okay. So again, if you have not, or maybe you did submit your research statement and still not really clear, feel free to hit me up. I am available all week. So I know you guys are crunched, and I know this is feeling like a lot. So if you want to work through your research statement, reach out to me. You may also reach out to any of the librarians through the Merced College Library homepage. So if you're feeling like you want an outside perspective, by all means, head on over to the live chat in the library and say, I'm working on a research statement for my LRNR 30 class. Can you revise it with me? Or maybe you're looking for a particular citation for a government website and you're having a really tough time. Absolutely, send a chat. So the chat is available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. And then Fridays, it's a little different. It's 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Those times are listed right here. Okay, this is for if you're picking up material, but oh, sorry guys. So, okay. So let's move on. So our very first annotation is going to be a whatever. And don't worry about this part yet, but these do need to be alphabetized. So I'm going to go look at my working document here, and I'm going to take a look. This big oil one looks promising. This Cochrane one looks promising. Lovin's, Farewell to Fossil Fuels. Sorry, I'm just using a couple of different ones here from climate change and prison. Of course, yours will all be related to your topic. But okay, so I'll start off with this one right here. This journal article by Amy Frodel. And I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this right here. All right, so this is a good time for me to take a look at some of these other resources from the Annotated Bibliography site. And I'm going to go to my, my MLA Common Writing Examples. All right. So this is our citation here. And then this is the only part that sticks out. Okay, so the annotation sticks out, and then it gets a hanging indent, and everything underneath it, including the annotation, is indented. All right, so let's take a look. Actually going to borrow a little bit from this right here. I'm going to come into my annotated bibliography. Okay, so let's pretend that I wrote this out, and I'll tell you guys what I will take. I will go through this one and actually write an annotation in just 1 minute. but I wanted to show you a couple of formatting issues first off. So I'm going to force it by doing this little control to go to this paste option, which is, it removes a lot of the formatting. All right. I'm going to put a period right here. I think there was a space right here. So I'm going to apply that. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and let's take a look at my citation. So now this might be a little bit challenging for me too, because I'm learning on the job for how to do this in the Microsoft 365. So I right-clicked using my mouse, and I'm going to go back to paragraph. And I'm going to do a, okay. Now, I need to look at my examples real quick. So when I come here, I'm going to go to 0. And then I'm going to say, oh, sorry, double. And then I'm also going to say, now I think this should, okay, good. It applied the hanging indent. All right, so let me repeat, let me show you what I did. Okay, so I highlighted my entire citation, and then I right-clicked with my mouse, and then I went to paragraph. I specified, I'm not sure that it would make that much of a difference if I didn't change this to the spacing to 0. But I'm going to come to double and hanging. And this applies a hanging indent to my citation. Okay. One thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to try to make this a little more pretty. I was hoping I might be able to get this all up together. Ugh. This is where formatting can get real yucky. So doing the formatting as you go is helpful. None of your professors are going to care very much that this is a blank line right here. Sometimes it's worthwhile to try to finesse some of these formatting issues. But a lot of time it's just an act of of frustration and futility. I'm going to put an extra space right here. All right. So now I have the beginning of my annotation. So let's say this is everything that I've written right here. I'm going to come here, and now I'm going to make this all fall in line. And this isn't necessarily something you need to do until the end. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and start another annotation, just so it doesn't look too weird when we come back. I'm going to go ahead and pick this guy up, Pinard. And I recognize that Pinard and Michael should not be all uppercase, so I need to change that. Also, there's probably some other authors between Frodel and between F and P. So I'm going to make sure that I have those changed. Oh, that reminds me. Let's remove this hyperlink right here. These are just little tips and tricks. I'm not sure what I did. Control Z or undo is your best friend. Let's see if I can do it up here. Home, insert, view. I don't know. I may have to look around and see how else to remove those links because it's not saying. All right. Sorry, guys. I don't know where you go to remove links in there. I may have to look around and find out, but that's a small finesse and to look into that later. I kind of want it to look a bit more like this right here where it doesn't have the link. All right. I'm going to try to make this a little more pretty by inserting a space. Okay. And now let's take a look and see if I can't recapture some of this text by opening up the actual article. So, all right, so let's take a look at what we want to do here when we're reading our actual article to summarize it, evaluate and provide analysis of the study, and then reflect on its usefulness to your research problem or thesis. So again, these are all listed, these requirements are listed in our progression, all right, that document. And here's my summary. So what is the description of the main idea, the aim of the chapter, of the article or the research, maybe a little bit about maybe the author's name, that kind of thing. So that's a good way to start out right away. I'm going to come into my document here. I know this is actually information about my previous document, but I'm going to go ahead and start here. Well, here, I'll make it fair. I'll replace this down here. Okay. Okay, so Frodel makes the argument that prisoners should have the right to vote restored to them automatically upon their release from prison. She also states that, let's look at our article. Now, a lot of this can be found in the introduction. So, until the past few decades, how to count prisoners for districting. Okay, so that's an important issue. Mass incarceration, imprisonment, approximately blah, 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 blah. In 2016, 1.5 million people were incarcerated due to the reliance of decennial census for districting. Most of the discussion centered around the proper application of the usual residence. Okay. And what I would be doing, I would print these articles out and I would mark up this text. Same way that I'm marking this up using this nice highlighter feature in Gale. Okay. Census standards for prisoners. Okay. And then the law of counting incarcerated persons, and show that case law and Census Bureau assistance in identifying prison populations is both feasible and legal. That sounds like a quote that I actually want to go ahead and pull into my annotated bibliography. Okay, so Frodel divides her article into two parts. The first part is about redistricting and counting prisoners for census information. Part 2 is about using this information legally. As found, hold on. Here, I'm going to go ahead and insert my quote right here. Legally, in that the law of counting incarcerated persons will show that case law coupled with Census Bureau census and identifying prison populations makes counting prisoners, facility prisoners, both feasible and legal. So that's an important finding and something that I think that would be useful to my quote. Now, I pretty much already stated that it's from Frodel up there, but I'm going to go ahead and do Frodel again, and then I'm also going to include the page number if the page number is available. It might be this number 7. No, I think those are the footnotes. So if there's no page number, I'm just going to, before you used to have to say NP, no page, but with the prevalence of internet websites, that's sort of gone out of fashion. So I've already, since I didn't say Frodel in the beginning right here, although I did say it up here, what I'm going to do is go like this, and now I can remove it. So I already stated Frodel at the beginning, so I don't have to say Frodel at the end. Okay. Next, so this is my summary of the main points. I can also say main points of this article are about districting and voter rights. Okay, so now I'm going to do some evaluation and analysis of the study. So what that means is, okay, so let's look at our directions here. So the evaluation, I'm going to look at the main argument or research findings, or I'm also going to look at how Frodel found what she found out. So what methodology did she use? Did she interview prisoners? Did she Look at case law. Did she survey a group of prisoners? Did she analyze Census Bureau statistics? So I'm going to look and see what she did to find out what she found out. Also, this is a good time to use, so, you know, not all of these are your journals, right? You're going to be using websites and newspapers that aren't going to be as extensive as this very dense legal paper. All right. But what I can do, hold on, now I'm getting off track here. Where is my assignment at? I lost it. Okay. What I can do is evaluate it using, say, the CRAP method. The method is it current? Is it relevant? Is it what's the authority of the author? What's the purpose of her writing this? I could also use the 5 W's to evaluate this. So the who, what, when, where, and why. What were the results or conclusions? So this evaluation, you can choose. You know, some are more appropriate, like the 5 W's might be a little bit more appropriate for a website or for the newspaper article. Whereas the CRAP test, I might use elements of the CRAP test to evaluate my scholarly journal. So, oh, I'm so happy that I said this. So I'm going to go back to my working document. Okay, so in this peer-reviewed journal article, the author, Frodel, they keep changing, spell check, stop it. Frodel makes the argument that blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I'm identifying what the source is right in the beginning. This is a peer-reviewed journal. This is a news article. Okay. In this peer-reviewed journal article, the author Frodel makes the argument that prisoners, blah, 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 blah. Main points of this article about districting and prison rights. Frodel uses a survey method and Census Bureau statistics to analyze how voting affects prisoners. Okay, so already I'm getting to the point where I'm at, let's see. Okay, see this right down here? I can choose my word count. So I'm requiring 150 words, okay? So if I want to know what my word count is, I highlight the section and there's my word count. So right now I'm at 125 words. So I've already done the summary and the evaluation. Let's see, is it current? Is it relevant to my research? What else do I need to know about this article? What year was it written? Oh, okay, October 2018, Georgetown University Law. So now it starts to a little bit overlap as well with the reflection portion. This article is relevant to my thesis in that it supports my claim that prisoners are being disenfranchised through voter restriction. It is current. Okay, hold on. It is from 2018 and is very current and provides legal insight and information that demonstrates both pro and con prison voter rights. Now, I could go back in and maybe find another quote, find another important, not a good speller there. Find another quote. I could talk more about the paper itself. I really only did minimal summarizing. So now I'm ready for a little more reflection. And so the reflection is about the usefulness to support your research statement or thesis. So I kind of started doing that. And it's nice too, using this Word document that they make all sorts of suggestions for formatting and spelling as you move along. Okay, so this article, okay, also guys, I want to point out, I inserted lots of language that you can understand. This article assisted me in understanding. This article will be useful for my research problem because more about how it relates to the themes of your research topic or statement. And I can also do a little bit more of this who, what, when, where, why. Can look a little more deeply about the article. So let's go back. Counting incarcerated persons, theories of locational option for counting prisoners. Oops. The location of the prison and the location of the prison prior to incarceration. Voter equality, prisoners should be cannot vote while imprisoned. So again, this has taken me about, to get to this point right now, we are at the end of our time now, but it's taken me about 45 minutes of real concentrated effort to get to this point. So I'm really encouraging you guys to get started on this, okay? This article assists in my understanding of the research using census data and law to change the politics for giving voters the right to oops, giving prisoners the right to vote. Okay, let's see where I'm at. Okay, I'm at 195. Great. So I exceeded my word count. Now, one last thing. This is still in a hanging indent, but what it needs to be is all indented. And let me show you how to do that. I've got to learn too. I don't actually know for sure how to make it un. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and right click and go back to paragraph. I'm going to remove the hanging indent. Then I'm going to come and I'm going to indent it to the right by 0.5. So guys, this looks different across Google Docs and Word. But essentially, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so let me do this one real quick. Yeah, I didn't really need to do a paragraph indentation here. You could, if you wanted to say like your reflection part, you wanted to make a separate, but I think that it's short enough, our annotation is short enough that you can keep it all in one running paragraph. Okay, and back to our, excuse me, indent left to 0.5 and also apply, I'm going to right click. Oh wait, I wonder what this dot, there it is. The dot, dot, dot. Okay, under layout, see, I know, you guys, it's frustrating. Learning where new things are is so time consuming. It really is. We got to do it. We got to do it. This is what your bosses and your professional career is going to be like. Let me just tell you, that's what you'll be doing in your professional life. Learning new things. And it's just trial and error. It's just learning. Okay, so I'm going to go to hanging. And I'm going to say, okay, and there it applied my hanging indent. All right. So now I like another space. I like a space between my annotations. So I'm going to say yes, because we did a space right up here. If ever you are in doubt about formatting, just be consistent, okay? Also, I'm not asking for the access date, so you do not have to include that. All right, I'm also seeing that Journal of Criminal Law and Criminology needs to be italicized, as well as EBSCO-host. These are publisher title names, so they get italicized. Also, Michael needs to just be Michael, and Pinard needs to be Pinard. All right. I don't know why my header's not showing up. I just don't know. I'm going to come to File, and I'm going to go to Save As. I'm going to, for my own personal record, I'm going to download a copy, and this is going to open up Microsoft Word. I happen to have Microsoft Word. So let's take a look. Now, whenever you change formats, or to me, whenever you change applications, formats tend to change. I don't see a lot of change here, except a lot of little errors. Obviously, I need to go through and apply and edit some spell check as well as some grammar. I just kind of got the stuff in there, and I encourage you to do that too. Don't waste time overthinking and finessing. Think about those main components you need to hit, because they're going to vary by information type, and you can reflect on that in your reflection too, and say, and you can state this, the reflection portion. This was a historical, or this was a newspaper, so it just provided elements from a first person point of view and didn't provide a lot of analysis. I agree with what the author was saying, or I disagree with what the author is saying. This article makes me ask this question, and so that's an important part of using research. When you read this article, did it make you ask questions? Did it bring up those questions? You can list those questions. And what do you what else do you think you need to know to understand your topic based on this article? So use these different language. Again, everything's on the table. This article assisted me, or this article will be useful. I understand my topic better because the author or the interviewer or the case study or the example or the statistic or the data that the person presented, the author presented, helped me to understand my thesis, or helps me see the opposite, the other perspective or the other point of view. So think about the multiple point of views. This author provides a different perspective. This author was very subjective, meaning they provided a lot of personal analysis, or they provided a lot of opinion. This author was very subjective. They backed up all their research. They didn't really use any personal opinion. So think about those ways that you can evaluate and reflect. The evaluate and reflect can kind of overlap. So your summary is those main ideas, maybe a quote, maybe 2 quotes, no more than 2. And really kind of identifying the main points of this article. And then that evaluation, you're thinking about the methodologies, how they created or who they measured or what they found, and then those 5 W's or the crop test as well. So in summation, these are available. Let's see where I'm at now. These are all peppered in through here, through our annotated bibliography resources. Okay, so I'm working laterally here. Here's my article. I have that open. Here's my working document. This is my messy outline where I threw my links in. I threw my citations in. Okay, real quick, because I know we're going over on time, but I have a feeling like I'm hitting some important stuff here. I'm just going to go over real quick a government website. So I'm going to go to Google Advanced Search. So this is different from Google Scholar, right? So this is how I'm going to my site or domain and going to .gov. And then I'm going to go ahead and type in my keywords and my topic. So I'm talking about voting and prisoners. Okay, so here is an article about voting rights for persons with a criminal history. All right, so this looks like it is a California Secretary of State. And this gives an overview about information about what you would do if you have criminal history. Now, this is a really nice perspective. This would be helpful. I'm going to grab my URL. I'm going to go back into my working document here. Where do I have? Okay, here's my government website. I'm going to go ahead and type in Secretary of State. I'm going to stick my oh, no. Okay. And I'm going to also grab maybe the title of the website. So voting rights, persons with a criminal history. And that's the title of my article. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put some quotation marks around that. My website name, the publisher or sponsor, I'm going to look down here. It's the California Secretary of State. Now I know it says Alex Padilla up here. I could treat him as my author, but with government websites, you're not really doing that. You're treating the, I might even treat the elections division as my author. Okay. But I'm going to treat the California Secretary of State as my corporate author. And if I need a little more help doing this, I can always turn to my Purdue OWL, which is great. They will, let's see. I want to be in let's leave this. Let's go back to here. I'm going to go back to my MLA website. Let's see. I don't know if they have government. They might just do, how do I say a congressional document? Name of a government agency as publisher, so that I separate out the name of the government. Okay, good. Let's look at what they're talking about here. The rules for government agencies published in the MLA handbook do not apply to the publisher slot. List the publisher's name, i.e. the government agency, as you see it in the source. So we're going to say California Secretary of State, and then the year, and then voting rights, persons with a criminal history, and then we're going to, I guess we're going to do the date again too. Okay, let's try it. So we're just following the rules. Where did my messy document go? Ugh. Okay, here it is. So we're actually going to go get rid of the quotation marks here. We're going to say Secretary of State and the year. And we can sometimes find the year if we don't see it there. I'm going to look for the copyright date, which is right down here, 2020. Voting rights, persons with a criminal history. Okay, what did they say? Oh, right. Okay. So California Secretary of State gets italicized. And then my title, and then a comma, and then the year. So what I'm going to ask you to do is also to include the URL. And I think your instructors are going to ask for that too. Okay. That's it. And then I'm going to go do that ... Oh my gosh. And there it is now. And there's my hanging indent. Okay. And now I'm going to copy and paste that into my annotated bibliography and start all over again. Now I need to read through and provide a summary, provide an evaluation and a reflection about that government website. Why would I use that government website? How would it support my research? What quotes from there? What statistics? What data am I going to use from that website? All that good stuff. Obviously, I need to do some formatting. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. And there's my hanging indent already. Let's get that down to 0. And okay. So this is just a process. This is just something you need to move through. Breathe deep. Take your time. Use full sentences. Write out what you're thinking. Okay, you can use it. You can use a messy document to insert articles there, format them here, and then paste them in your nice annotated bibliography. Here's my research statement. This may change over time. So once I've seen that, I might revise and say that they're criminal, that maybe it changes my mind. Maybe I don't think prisoners should have the right to vote, but people that have their, people that are felons and have fulfilled their obligations to society and have a clean criminal history through expungement. I don't know. Whatever my thesis is, that can change, but I need it to be stated up here so that when I'm reading it and grading it, I can see where you're going and how these articles tied into your research. Okay. So that was the advanced search. I used that Google advanced search. I used capital AND to connect. So if I'm doing climate change or maybe Facebook and privacy, and maybe I need to say, are there any government documents about that out there? Here's the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission. And they have something from July 24th, 2019 about an FTC settlement imposed on Facebook. Okay, so use these tools. Use Google Advanced Search to find those government sources. I also highly recommend using Nexus Uni to find your newspaper sources. Also, I have in our annotated bibliography tab here, there are, sorry guys, I think I have this, actually it's the same, but it's in two different places. One's from week like 8 or 7 and one's from 12. So let's see which one is which, and I'll delete the wrong one. So this is the wrong one. This one is the right one. Magazines or periodicals. I'll have to look. I don't know. But anyway, these are all these tutorials that show you the step-by-step for here's how to find a news source in the library databases. Okay, and here are my recommended databases that you use. Newsbank, Nexus Uni, New York Times. Use those, or they're also in SIRS and CQ Researcher and Opposing Viewpoints. Use your keywords and topic and research statement. Okay. All right, guys. So that's it. I know I went long today, but it's actually, not that bad because we didn't meet last week. So there was lots to catch up on. I am encouraging you not only to watch this entire lecture, but I am encouraging you to get in touch with me. I will be holding community hours Friday, and I'm going to hold those from, I don't know, I think from 12 to 2, but I could go 10 to 12, depending on what time would work for you. But honestly, that's more or less an open hour where you could drop your drop in and we can work, you can just mute me and then drop in and say, hey, how do I do this? Can you show me how to find this? This isn't working for me. And I can just jump in, jump out. You can do your own thing. I don't need to be hanging over your shoulder. But if you need that motivation to get to work, I will be holding community hours on Friday. I'll announce them. This is a good way to keep on task. As you saw, this is a little bit time consuming. It's not the easiest of our, well, frankly, it's our most complex assignment. And this is a literature review. So this is genuine academic work. Also, I'll be available all week. I know you guys have tight schedules. I know you have jobs, family. You have a lot of stressors in your life. I am available to meet with you, except tomorrow. I'm in a hiring committee meeting from 7:30 to probably like 6 p.m. So I really won't be available tomorrow. But Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, get a hold of me. I will be there. I want you to succeed. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to complete this assignment. I believe in you. Y'all can do it. I worked with all of you. Every single one of you guys can do it. So just get busy. So I'm going to stop recording now and go ahead and send me any emails and questions.